All right, let's get started here. Welcome to a very quick session at Stoneridge Connect here, where we are going to build a Copilot in 15 minutes. And yes, you heard that correctly. We are going to build an agent from the ground up in 15 minutes with an introduction and with some backing information as well as we go through our session here today. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen and let's dive in. So first and foremost, thank you for joining with Stoneridge Connect this year. Our agenda that we're going to cover in the next 15 minutes is really going to be a quick introduction of me. We're going to talk a little bit about agents just at a very high level, and then we're going to build that Copilot agent in less than 15 minutes here. So I've got my timer on the side. Let's keep going and move forward here. So first and foremost, my name is Scott Frappier. It's a pleasure to be here. I am the Chief AI Architect here at Stoneridge Software. So really what I focus on is really understanding all the different types of workloads and capabilities that really shine in the Microsoft platform. More specifically, I've been in the channel now for over about 24 years, almost 25 now, and I've been at Stoneridge for the last 11 to 12, and I will tell you I've had the privilege of having basically every type of role that you can imagine out in the business system space. So what I do is I love to take that knowledge and bring it to you here today, so that way you can actually make some really good decisions and have some good background, obviously, on how we use some of these technologies and capabilities. So with that, though, let's cover through what an agent is really quickly here. So first and foremost, an agent is really something that uses AI to automate and execute business processes. And the interesting thing about this really is the fact that they work actually to basically augment yourself, your team, or even the general organization in terms of what those capabilities are. And you're going to hear agents are typically set up, for example, inside of Copilot. There's multiple technologies that you can use to build an agent, but today we're really going to focus around using some of the M365 agent creation capabilities to create an agent very quickly inside of an environment. Now, with that, though, one of the things I just want to point out really is the fact that we are entering an era where we've got a large variety or spectrum of different agents that we can use to attack or tackle, more specifically, different types of situations or scenarios inside of a business. More specifically, we can have retrieval-based ones or task-based ones or even autonomous-based ones that I call my wonderful automatons that we tackle day in and day out as well. So these types of different types of agents really do then support many different types of business needs that you may have as well. Now with that, what I'm going to do just really quickly here is I'm going to put my screen up here. I'm going to go ahead and open up Chrome in the background, and we're going to go ahead and represent my screen, and we're going to go ahead and build an agent. We've got about 12 minutes left, so let's go ahead and dive in. Now, one of the first things that I want to cover here is really going to be the fact that we're going to be using M365 to do this. Now, you can build an agent pretty much in any type of technology you want. You can do Pro Code and use some of the agent SDKs that Microsoft has as an example, or you can use what we call the low-code, no-code foundation, such as Copilot Studio, which is another session that we're going to be tackling that covers much more of those capabilities for the higher tier type of agents that you interact with. Today, we're going to keep it simple because really, in 15 minutes, we want to show you how you can create an agent potentially to tackle a specific task or a specific retrieval-based task that you have inside of your organization. Now with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, as you can see here, Microsoft 365 chat and open it up. And what I should be presented here with really is going to be my Copilot experience inside of M365. So you can see here on my far left, I've got my Copilot icon. I've got my Microsoft Copilot that is typically going to access all of our data, as we can imagine, inside of our tenant. But then what I have the ability to do as well on the far right pane here is to do a couple of other things or actions as well with Copilots. More specifically, I can get agents, such as agents that have been published already to the Microsoft Store, or I can create an agent from scratch. Now, one of the things I just want to kind of just plant the seed around is that obviously when we're using the agent creation capabilities inside of M365, we're not going to be going as deep then when it comes to things like Copilot Studio and topics and knowledge repositories. We can do that, as you can imagine, but at the same point, know that when you go through this, that there's going to be different technologies for different needs that you have inside of your organization. But just to experiment with agents and what they can do for your department or even for you as an individual is a great place to start. And this to me has always been the best place to do that, which is going to Microsoft365.com/chat and then going to this create an agent type process as we're going to show here. So first and foremost, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on create an agent inside of here. And what you're going to notice kind of almost immediately here is that there are some templates that are already pre-set up that you could use. Now, I'd be cheating if I actually went and just used a template, right? So we're actually going to create one from the ground up. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this our taskmaster agent that's going to basically keep track of different types of tasks or how we can structure tasks maybe better to address needs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into my message and I'm going to say, you know what, I don't want any of those. What do I want this to do? I want this agent to take a task that I provide and then create a list of subtasks that that I can use to then build out potential we'll say potential additional options that are needed when trying to accomplish a task, right? So we're going to do something really simple to start here. So an example I'm going to even use with it will be a vehicle. If I buy a vehicle and I have a bunch of additional tasks that are maybe needed for it, such as vehicle maintenance, I'd like to have some of those tasks actually built out as we go through and do that. So as you can see here, this is going to be the task subtask generator is what it's kind of naming. So I'll get my mug out of the way just really quickly here. And what I can do is I can say, yes, I love that. That's a great name to start here. So what we're going to see as we go through this on the far right, what's really interesting is the fact that we actually have a bunch of different options then that are showing here in terms of, for example, the subtask for a task, or what are the options for a task that are there, or what are the detailed subtasks that are related to a particular task. So as you can see here, as we're building this out dynamically in the background here, we're actually getting that output as we go through that process, right? So here's the other thing here. Now, great, now let's define the instructions for the agent. First, let's define what the agent should do. Could you provide more details on specific actions and behaviors you want it to perform? So I'd like this to be as verbose as possible and to use knowledge that is on the web as well to build out subtasks and the detail around them in a much more detailed manner, right? So some of these things, obviously, I might be saying more than once. That's okay. Doesn't have to be typed in perfectly. And we can see here as we're going through this, do we have any publicly accessible websites that we want our agent to use? And we can say none at this point. None at this time is what I'll do. And what we're going to see here then is going to be in just a second a actual agent that we're going to generate. So now let's continue refining the instructions. How should the agent handle situations where it cannot find enough information to create detailed subtasks? Should it ask for more input from you? Should it provide a basic outline and you fill in the details? And in this one, let's have it so if you cannot find or identify additional subtasks, please, let's do the first. Ask for more input so we can create a detailed task list, right? So fantastic. We'll see what happens here in just a second. Hopefully it'll come back and we'll see additional details with it. All right, your agent is now ready with this. If you have any further refinements or changes, feel free to let our Copilot Studio know. So, you know, it can't be that easy, right? Can it really be that easy that we just built an agent by just talking to something to do it? And It is actually. So what's interesting here is the fact that we had a name that was generated. We're actually working in Copilot Studio. And if you haven't seen that session, I'd really recommend that you go watch it because we're going to cover a lot more detail as to what Copilot Studio does than on the Microsoft platform as well. But the cool thing about this is the fact that we basically just use natural language to create a automaton, right? Maybe we'll call it that, right? That basically we can use then to interact with as we go through this, or what we call an agent inside of the Microsoft ecosystem, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go ahead and click on the create action for it. And what we're going to see is that this agent is now going to be accessible inside of M365. Now, one of the things that we could have done is we could have clicked on the configure. That would have taken more time. We could have gone through and clicked on, for example, the chat here and use that as well. And we can see here we have an agent that was created, and I can copy that link as an example. Or let's just go right to the agent to actually experiment a little bit with it. So now we have our agent started up here, and you can see on my far right, I've got my task subtask generator that's here. And let's create some tasks. So I just purchased a 2025 Mach E EV vehicle. Can you create a bunch of tasks that I should do at specific intervals so that way, specific intervals for service, so that way I can keep track of what I need to do and when for my service schedule. So we'll go ahead and run that to start. And what we're going to see here, well, first off, great. We actually had, as you can see here, a congratulations that occurred, right? So as we can see here, general maintenance tasks have been identified. Specific interval tasks that we can have. Every 6 months, we can generate that, right? Every 12 months, we can do the battery check. Every 24 months, we do a coolant check with it as well. So what this did is it made it really easy then for me to basically give a task, and it knows its intent is basically to go through and break out that detail. So what I could do as well is go further. Can you do this for a new airplane that I bought as well? It's a, I don't know, we'll call it a Cardinal 172. I think that that's one, if I remember correctly, that I'd like to make sure I keep airworthy, right? So definitely don't want to have a plane have a problem. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll see the task subtask generator kind of go through that. So it's critical, obviously, for that. And so pre-flight, specific intervals, every 50 hours, every 100 hours, every 12 months. Look at that. I've got all these tasks that can be created as well with it. Let's try another scenario. Let's try it with business. I would like to implement the Dynamics 365 Business Central solution. What tasks should I complete first before I start implementing it in order to make my transition even easier for my organization, right? We'll go ahead and quit the question mark inside of there. Once again, I didn't have to go through and tell it like how many tasks I want or what subtasks, because remember we set that up as part of the actual agent itself. And what it said here is I should assess business needs, probably do some type of requirements gathering, right, internally. I should define stakeholders more than likely. I should identify where data is stored. I should make sure that the system requirements of our platform are supported to make sure we've got Entra and all the other stuff that we need. And then I need to also do a training plan, right, as a part of it. And then other preparatory tasks, data migration, customization and configuration, integration planning, testing and validation, change management. Like if you've gone through an implementation, you've already seen all of this, right? But what's cool about this, once again, is I've made a very specific Copilot to address some of those needs that I have while basically creating it to focus only on generating subtasks then related to it. So this is just one small example of this, right? You could do this where you have it focused on, like, let's say you've got an HR bot that you want to build and you want to have something where it can look up policy details that are related to it. Well, you could set up, as you can imagine here, an agent, and that agent then could be defined in the prompting as to what it should answer and how it should answer it. So it's a really important capability, as you can imagine, that's really, really powerful and obviously really needed inside of a lot of organizations. So I'm going to go ahead and just flip back real quick here, and we're going to get back to our presentation and wrap up. So in 15 minutes, we were able to do this. One of the things I just want to kind of just give you a segue with, remember, your modern partner, as you can see here, we did this inside of M365. We support Dynamics. We support Microsoft 365. We support Azure-based capabilities, right? And so remember, as a partner of the future, you need to make sure that your partner understands these technologies, because where you want to interact then with that agent, such as in Dynamics or potentially inside of Word as another example, really defines where you're going to basically create those. One of the things I just want to plug just really quickly here, I'll leave this up for a couple of seconds, but if you want to learn more about how you can implement Copilot for M365, scan this QR code or go to our website and fill out that detail, and it will show you exactly how to go step by step through that. And with that, thank you very much. I talked really quickly, as you can imagine, to get 15 minutes of content where you can create that. I hope you get to follow that step by step to go through it, and you can pause it and relook at it. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us to ask more. Have a great one and enjoy the rest of your Connect. Goodbye.